Hey, welcome back to the Healthy Living Scottsdale podcast. I'm your host, Coach Zach. I'm here with Coach Zach, a.k.a. ZK.
What's up?
And CJ Hunt, Silly C. What's up, fellas?
Yo.
Little boys hour today.
In a while.
Yeah, kicking Brandy out. No, she'll be back next week, but she's just, working on some other stuff. It's not her turn. We didn't want her on this episode. How you guys been doing? Last week was weird. Everybody was out of town. It was spring break, and the building was being painted, so the windows were all taped up. It looked like a zombie apocalypse scene. So kind of weird. I'm feeling much better about this week.
Got the sunlight in that corner too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was hot.
Yep. I know. It's weird when you tape the windows up, everything like starts cooking, right? All right. So I guess client of the week. Let's go that direction. Client of the week. So this week's client of the week is probably a member who doesn't listen to our podcast, I'm assuming. Just based off of who he is. But we're going to go with Mitchell Everett. So Mitch has been here like 6 years, as long as I've been here. And it's interesting because he has a like tall, thinner frame just naturally. And I was looking at him the other day. He came in from work and he was wearing like a polo and his sleeves were like tight around his arms. And I was like, dang, he's pretty muscular, but he just carries it a little bit differently. And then I was actually training him because Brandy was out of town. So I was out there working with him. And I'm looking at him. I'm like, this isn't like the tall, skinny Mitch that 6 years ago signed up. This guy is all buff now.
He's a strong dude now.
Yeah.
I only know strong Mitch. So
yeah. So anyway, it's just interesting because it's weird. Sometimes you look at somebody in their frame, you don't really like recognize it. It's probably if Zach took his shirt off, we'd be like, this dude's ripped, right?
Yeah.
Why are you laughing? It's true.
Funny.
Funny, but true. Anyway, Mitch is a great guy. Awesome member, been here for a really long time and got incredible results. So probably should have given him some props and recognition, before 6 years. That's terrible, but I don't think he was that buff before. I think he's definitely seen some really good gains the last year. So props to him. All right. Talking about a subject that we all need help with today. I think CJ, this is like your topic, buddy.
Yeah. Fall asleep one time and it's always there.
Did we talk about that on the podcast?
No.
Oh man. So this was what, like 2 months ago?
Was it that long?
Yeah, like 2 months ago, we were having a team meeting and we were in the office and the lights were off in the office. And I'm talking and I keep looking over at CJ and his eyes keep like shutting. He was fighting it. And I could tell he was fighting it. And I just kept going, kept talking. And then all of a sudden he was like, his eyes closed and they didn't reopen again. And he was out. It was, yeah. It's unfortunately not the first time I've had somebody fall asleep in one of my meetings.
Oh,
so
at least I wasn't the first.
Yes. So today we're talking about the afternoon crash. CJ likes to call this episode the happy hour and caffeine.
Caffeine, yes.
Okay, happy hour and caffeine episode. But we're talking about how to avoid the afternoon crash. So this is something that I've actually struggled with a little bit myself, and not necessarily like afternoon, but it would be like around 6 or 7 in the evening when I get home from work. And then all of a sudden I'm like coming down right off of that just crazy busy day. And then I'm wiped and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna fall asleep. Right. So for me, it took a little while to identify what was going on. But I would typically break up my day with a mid-afternoon workout. And so what was happening is I wasn't getting enough fuel after my workout until, I got home and would have dinner. And so I was crashing. For me, all it took was making sure that I did a protein shake after my workout, and then it eliminated my afternoon crash. So I was getting the protein, my blood sugar was good, and then I didn't have that anymore. Super simple fix. But what do you guys, I guess, let's back up. Let's go identify some of the problems that people they have that are contributing to an afternoon crash. What do you guys think?
Well, I mean, lack of sleep is going to be the first one that you're going to go to, obviously, because if you're falling asleep during the middle of your day, you got to sleep more. So either ending your day earlier or starting your day later to get those little bit of extra sleep is going to help. And that's the basic biggest one.
Yeah, I would say quality of sleep too, right? Not just like the time that you set aside for the sleep, but look at your sleeping environment and make sure that you're getting good deep sleep. And we did a podcast. I think it was 2 episodes we did on sleep, 2 or 3 episodes. So go back and listen to that if you want to learn about like quality of sleep. What else?
I would say lack of hydration, like proper hydration.
Yeah.
Most people seek like energy from like non-lasting sources like caffeine and all that stuff, or like even foods that don't have like that's not like proper food gives you like immediate energy and then it goes away. That's why people like crash from sugar and all that stuff, because like it gives you like immediate energy but it doesn't last. So like if you swap out like soda and all that stuff that you drink with something like water, it doesn't give you immediate energy, but by being fully hydrated throughout the whole day, obviously you have to fix all the holes in your current problems with if you have like crash in the afternoon, but it's not gonna create like a deficit. You're not going from one high to a low. If you just are something that you're like properly hydrated all the time, you're just that all the way throughout the day. That's something that has a big effect. And then
there's no peaks or valleys.
Yeah.
So Zach, do you do any caffeine at all?
No.
You never have any caffeine?
I drink nothing but water.
Literally, nothing but
like
water.
Legitimately, if you look at my refrigerator, it's water. There's no other drinks in there.
Which is wild to me because like I've never met a trainer that wasn't all in on energy drinks.
No.
Like I'm not into energy drinks. I'm a coffee drinker, but I've never liked energy drinks. But it's amazing to me that you just only water, no caffeine whatsoever. And I don't know that I've ever seen you look tired.
Yeah, no, I don't ever crash or anything. Like I obviously, like granted, like yes, of course, like I'm younger, so like you have more natural energy and stuff like that. But yeah, I sleep. I don't get as much sleep as I should because I wake up really early. I have class at night and stuff, other factors. But I don't ever crash during the day.
But there's no peaks or valleys for you.
No.
You're just like steady throughout the day, energy levels.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you never like, is there ever a time where you get done with your because you're early morning to afternoon and then you have a little break in the day and then you go to class, right? Do you ever like go home and take a nap? Do you ever feel like you need that?
No, I'm never been a nap person anyway. I don't like them.
Okay.
But no, I don't feel, granted I am like busy basically my entire day. I don't really have time to like do that, but I don't ever feel the need, but like I am on top of like my like food too. So like that's not just like water, of course, is an important aspect because most people don't drink enough water.
Yep.
Like if you ask all of our clients, they say they drink enough water, but they probably don't drink enough water. But food too. Obviously food is your primary source of energy. So if you aren't filling your body with proper food that gives you the correct form of energy, then yeah, you're not setting yourself up to be sustained throughout the whole day.
Yeah, so that's an interesting topic because the hydration level, if you're staying hydrated evenly throughout the day and there's never any like, I drank so much water and then now I'm dehydrated. And then if there's no stimulants, so it's not like, I'm highly caffeinated and then bam, I crash. Same thing applies to food, right? And your blood sugar levels. So if you're having shallow carbohydrates, sugary carbs, then you're gonna see a spike in your blood sugar and it's gonna go up. You're gonna have a little burst of energy and then all of a sudden you're gonna crash basically and you're gonna be wiped out, right? Yeah. So what would be the tips for people who, I mean, I see it all the time, right? People are coming in and they have no structure to the way they eat whatsoever, right? So kind of one of the foundational things that I try to get people to do is understand this is what your breakfast should consist of. I don't care like what it is, well, I care, but I don't care what it is that you're eating initially, but like your breakfast needs to have, you need to have protein. You need to have like this much protein, this many fats, maybe carbs, maybe not, depending on the person, but it's like, that's what your breakfast should consist of. And then here's what your lunch should consist of. And then here's what your dinner should consist of. And at least have an understanding of what types of foods you should be eating and how you would put together a plate of food, right? And if people, that's like some people are just, most people are all over the place is what I found from going through people's food logs. There's no like rhyme or reason to why they're eating what they're eating. It's just like, oh, I feel like having this. And then they just go get that. So, yeah, I feel like that's a huge contributing factor to an afternoon crash, right? Not eating.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. So, I mean, we've done episodes on intermittent fasting, time restricted eating. Like I'm a big fan of that because I feel like it helps balance out your blood sugar so you don't get those peaks and valleys of energy. There's a lot of research on that as far as like your going into ketosis goes or ketogenic diet, or you even have like the carnivore diet where there's zero carbohydrates whatsoever. You're only eating animal products. And it's shown to balance out your blood sugar. So you're kind of eliminating that one element. What else do you guys think as far as like an afternoon crash goes?
Well, I mean, we talked about staying busy. I mean, that's something that can help you too. I mean, if you're really feeling like it and you don't want to intake caffeine or take in any stimulants, if you continue to go do something, like you were talking about doing an afternoon workout, you can start moving a little bit. You don't have to get a full-on workout and break a big sweat, but just get the body moving to where you wake yourself up. That can help buy you a little bit of time. If it's like, you were talking about, it's 6, 7 o'clock right before you get into bedtime, doing it that way. That can help you buy a little bit of time. That's one thing that I do. Just get moving.
Yeah.
Don't sit in front of the TV and watch TV. That's
yeah,
what makes you fall asleep.
Right, that makes you tired whether you have enough sleep or not. So
yeah, if your mind and emotion will match the physical like output, right? So if you're up and you're moving, if you feel like you're starting to crash, if you get your body going, if you get up and you do 100 jumping jacks, you're not going to sit back down and be like, right? You're going to be like, okay, yeah, like I'm up, I'm going, I'm moving. And that will help you kind of kick through or get that little extra boost as opposed to doing like an energy drink, doing an afternoon coffee. And it's this vicious cycle that happens because people will start to crash at 2, 3, 4 p.m. and then they're taking caffeine in. And the half-life of that caffeine is like 12 hours, meaning that they might go to sleep or go to bed and they're not going to be able to get into like a REM sleep because that caffeine's still in their system and it's preventing them from getting good quality sleep. So even if they are able to fall asleep, it's still having a negative impact on them, right? So one, I would say like don't overdo the caffeine first thing in the morning. I'm not against caffeine. Like I'm a coffee drinker. I'm not like Zach. I just love my coffee, but don't overdo it, because if you overdo it, then you're just going to burn out and you're going to have a massive crash, and then you're going to feel like you need some more. But if you have a little bit of caffeine in the morning, like you have your morning coffee, your tea, whatever, and then you get to the afternoon and you feel like, okay, I'm starting to crash, one of the worst cycles you can get into is having some more caffeine, right? So don't do that. Don't believe the 5-hour energy commercials. They're always like, that's like their thing, right? They're advertising, oh, you're going to have this afternoon crash. This is going to get you through the day. And it's like, no, that's
it just ruins you for the next day.
Just ruins you. Yeah. It's a good marketing plan. Like that, you're going to keep you locked in on that for sure. Okay, so I don't know. Do you guys have anything else as far as like tips for that? I would say sunlight, right? Like getting outside. If you're stuck in an office in front of a computer all day, of course you're gonna like have an afternoon crash. If you just get outside and do a walk, see some sunlight, that's gonna give you an extra little boost too to get through the day. You guys have other things?
I would say have like significant structure to like your day. So like it doesn't mean you shouldn't ever have like downtime, because you should, but I think a lot of times people, you start feeling fatigued and like excess fatigue when you're just having like you have no idea what you're going to do for the day. You're kind of just sit around, because then you end up watching TV, doing things that are non-productive. It doesn't mean you have to be like have a rigid schedule you stick to all day every day, but if you know there's certain things you need to do or that you do at a certain time, it's going to at least like you have something to like that you need to strive towards, or that you need to do like that you need to get done throughout your day. So it's not just like, oh, you woke up and I have no idea what I'm going to do today, then you end up usually doing nothing at all.
I'm so glad you said that, because one of the thing, like the next thing that I was going to bring up is a hobby. So
Right,
if you go to work all day and you're just, you're grinding it out, maybe you love your job, maybe you don't, doesn't matter, right? Regardless, like you're working hard, and then you have that downtime, don't spend that downtime like just sitting on the couch, right? Watching TV. Like have a hobby, have something that you look forward to. And people tend to think that like motivation leads to action, but it's actually the reverse of that. Action leads to motivation. So if you start to feel like, okay, I'm home, I'm going to relax, like you're sedentary, you're not going to get the motivation to get up and get going at that point. You're just going to have the motivation to fall asleep. But if you get your body up and you just suck it up for 10 minutes and you go start working on something that you're passionate about, now you're going to have the motivation. And that's just, it's a mental mindset more than it is like a physical thing at that point. And then I wanted to mention, go back to, so for me, avoiding it in like early evening crash was just a protein shake, right? One of the simplest things that you can do is branch chain amino acids. So as opposed to doing like a caffeine stimulant supplement, just branch chain amino acids will help prevent an afternoon crash. So if you have them later in the day, that should, there might be some other factors, but should help carry you through the rest of your day so you're not getting that crash. So I know a great supplement brand called Legacy Nutrition. I don't know if you guys knew this or not, but our podcast is sponsored by them. We self-sponsor it because it's our brand. So we have some good, tasty branched chain amino acids. You might want to check those out. LegacyNutrition.fit. Hey, little segue there. What else? You guys got anything else for anybody?
I would say like kind of what we just talked about, like you do things you actually like enjoy on your like free time. I know when people have like gaps open in their schedule or whatever, they like that's their like time to like rest, but they don't do things that like you're really resting. You can just like sit down and watch TV, but like you're not like, you might not be moving, but it's not like the same thing. Like you could be doing something where you're actually active, but it's something you enjoy. Even if it's just something as simple as like walking your dog or whatever that you enjoy, that you're actually going to feel more like refreshed and ready to work more or do whatever else you have during the day after you do that, even if it's like more physically exerting than sitting on the couches, because you might not have been moving, but like you didn't really rest. It's just similar like we talked about at the beginning about sleep. Like I heard somebody say like a long time ago, like you could be asleep at night, it doesn't mean you're actually resting. Like, so it's the same concept. Even if you're not moving, it's not the same thing as actually like, you could be productive even if you're like technically resting, and it's going to help you throughout the day.
Yeah. Along those lines would be meditation and breath work, right? Which we are huge on here, but that's something that I have actually used here in the middle of the day when I like haven't gotten any sleep or something. I'm like, man, I got to get through the rest of my day and I need to be productive. I'll go in the office and shut the door and I'll like do breath work for 10 minutes or meditate for 10 minutes. And then like, I'm good. Like I'm going to make it through the rest of my day. So for me, I like to do that early morning as a part of my routine, but I will use that if I've had a rough night, something happened, I didn't get enough sleep, and I'm like, I got to be productive for the rest of the day, and I'm starting to crash. That'll give me the little boost to make it through. So I would also say, like we talked about sitting on the couch and watching TV, but I think sitting on your phone and scrolling social media is probably worse.
Yeah, definitely.
For your mental state than even like sitting down and watching TV. You might feel engaged, but if you ever sit there and just start scrolling randomly and then like 20 minutes have passed and you're like, what did I even just look at? It's not registering. It's mindless. Yeah. So don't do that. Like, get out, take a walk, like find a hobby, do something that's going to give you a boost of energy, not steal energy from you. 'Cause that's like the worst thing that you could do.
Definitely.
Cool. So that's all I got for the people. Thanks for listening to our podcast, guys. We'll be back with you next week with more great stuff.
No matter how you're trying, always be walking with the heart of a lion.
Thank you so much for listening to the Healthy Living Scottsdale podcast. Do you have a question that you'd like for us to answer live on the podcast? If so, all you need to do is head over to the Apple Podcast app on your iPhone and do 3 simple things. First, leave us a rating and review telling me what you think of the podcast. In that review, ask anything you want related to health, fitness, or nutrition. And if you want a shout out, leave us your Instagram handle or name. That's all you have to do. Then listen to hear your questions answered live on the next Q&A episode.